It is an honor that I've been asked to open up this unique gathering today. My name is Javier Starring. I've been a member of Californians for Safety and Justice since its inception. I now am part of an organization called Healing Dialogue in Action, and we accompany families who had loved ones murdered and families who have loved ones serving extreme sentences in prison. Um, and through this work, I mentioned that I've been a part of California for Safety and Justice since its inception. I remember sitting in a room in UCLA with Lenore Anderson and maybe 20 other people. Aquila was there and others were there, where Californians for Safety and Justice, I keep saying Californians for Safety and Justice, but I know it's another name that the national organization goes by. Uh, just a really bad memory. But I remember when this was just a concept, a dream. And to be here today with all of you around the nation, and in particular during these difficult times, challenging times that the entire world is facing, I couldn't think of a better group to be with this morning. Through this group, I've come across incredible people, like I mentioned, Aquila, David, Jay, Oswald, people who are the manifestation of hope, who somehow have taken the worst experiences in their lives, turned them around, and used them to help others. And I've heard some moms that we accompany say, we belong to this group of survivors. We never would have chosen to be a part of this group, but we belong to it now. And I can't think of a better group to be sitting here and centering ourselves this morning as we continue to find ways to connect through these difficult times and continue the work of healing. And I've been asked to share a meditation and that it be bilingual. And I know that requires a little more patience from everyone, but I we obviously believe it's the right thing to do so that we all can feel connected in this moment. That although we're required to maintain physical distance, there is no distance when we connect spiritually. Mencioné que mi nombre es Javier Stauring, llevo muchos años trabajando con esta organización, colaborando con ellos, ¿verdad? Trabajo en otra organización que se llama Diálogos de Sanación y Acción, y estoy honrado de estar aquí con todos ustedes el día de hoy, enfocándonos durante esta llamada, ¿verdad? Empezando con una meditación que nos enfoca, que nos conecta unos a otros. So I invite everybody to, if it's possible, to find a comfortable place to sit in. I'm going to turn this camera up because I'm not sure how this is working, but I'm hoping that you're getting the sky there. So find a comfortable place where you can sit. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, I invite you to close your eyes. Encuentre un lugar cómodo donde se pueda sentar. Cierra los ojos. I invite you to take 2 or 3 deep breaths. And when you exhale, release whatever tension you might be feeling. Los invito a que tomen 2 o 3 respiraciones profundas y que dejen salir cualquier tensión que puedan sentir en sus cuerpos. I invite you to take 2, 3 more breaths, and this time, be very intentional about thanking yourself for being here today, for joining a group of other people who care about you, who want the best for you, who want you to know that you are not alone. Les invito a tomar 2, 3 respiraciones profundas otra vez. Y esta vez, dense gracias por estar aquí, por haberse tomado el tiempo de estar aquí en este grupo, con otra gente que tiene compasión y amor para ustedes, que quieren lo mejor para ustedes. Now, I invite you to take another deep breath. But with this deep breath, I invite you to picture someone from your support group who is not with you physically today, but is with you spiritually and emotionally. I want you to picture that person as clear as you can. Imagine them laughing. Imagine the warmth that comes from being around them. And I want you to whisper into their ear, may your spirit be strong. May you be safe and protected. May you be filled with healing and love. Les invito a tomar otra respiración profunda y esta vez les invito a imaginarse a una persona que pertenece en su grupo de apoyo, pero que no está físicamente con usted hoy. Imagínense a esa persona de buen humor, riéndose. Imagínate que te estás acercando a su oído y que le estás diciendo en voz baja que tu espíritu sea fuerte, que estés seguro y protegido, que estés lleno de sanación y de amor. Now I invite you to take another deep breath. And now imagine this friend looking back at you with love and compassion and saying to you, may your spirit be strong. May you be safe and protected. May you be filled with healing and love. Tómense otra respiración profunda. Y ahora imagínense que su amigo o su amiga los está viendo a ustedes y que esta persona les está diciendo a ustedes en voz baja que tu espíritu sea fuerte, que estés seguro y protegido y que estés lleno de sanación y amor. Now I invite you to take another deep breath and imagine all of us that are on this call today. All of us who have been going through different emotions. Some might seem insignificant. Some might seem insurmountable. But knowing that we're all together, imagine that you're holding hands and that this circle reaches all across the nation, that we are holding hands, offering each other comfort, offering each other healing and love. And we say to one another, may our spirit be strong, may we be safe and protected. May we be filled with healing and love. Una respiración más. Imagínense que estamos en un círculo grande, todos los que estamos en esta llamada, que nos podíamos abrazar y coger de las manos y decirnos unos a otros que tu espíritu sea fuerte, que estés seguro y protegido, que estés lleno de sanación y amor.
7 years ago, a small and mighty group of diverse survivors came together to say, enough. They were survivors of gun violence, domestic violence, sexual assault, abuse, human trafficking, and other violent crimes. For too long, the voices of the people who are most harmed and least helped by our justice system had been left out of the conversation on public safety. Our safety. And so the Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice movement was born. That year, during National Crime Victims' Rights Week, 100 crime survivors traveled by bus from across California for the first Survivors Speak.
The whole narrative around how we respond to crime and tough on crime, those policies, they weren't informed by us. Like, that's really a political debate. It has nothing to do with what crime survivors really want or need.
In 2019, we saw Survivors Speak grow to 5 states as thousands of crime survivors across the country traveled to their capitals to make our message heard. We shared our stories with lawmakers, reporters, and we were joined by public officials, artists, and entertainers. We began to change the narrative on who we are and what justice and safety really means.
What we're asking for is to help change the criminal justice system, because we're spending billions of dollars on a system that doesn't make us safe. And if that system don't make us safe, we have to set forth a new vision for safety. So that means more restorative justice programs, more trauma recovery centers across the country.
Crime survivors actually want more investments into rehabilitation, prevention, trauma recovery, and treatment to stop the cycle of crime.
Today we are over 40,000 members strong, with 38 chapters around the country. We advocated to help pass criminal justice reforms in Florida while increasing access to victim services. In Illinois, we've partnered with state leaders to reduce incarceration, increase rehabilitation, and secure record investments in trauma recovery services. Ohio now has the second most trauma recovery centers in the nation, and California continues to advance justice reforms that improve safety and increase access to crime victim services. All because when survivors speak, change happens. Now in our 7th year, Survivors Speak is coming to 7 states. Thousands more will gather in over 50 U.S. cities during our National Healing Vigil Day of Action on April 25th to honor the loved ones we've lost, recognize our own survivor experiences, and elevate our vision for safety. This year, let's change history and turn our healing to action. Join us.
Welcome to the first ever Survivor Speak National Virtual Conference. My name is Azawad Thomas, and I'm the Managing Director of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice is a national network of over 42,000 crime survivors. If you are joining in via computer, tablet, or mobile device through the Zoom app, you are able to see today's conference. If you do not have access to view the screen, you can attend today's event through audio, or you can view the live stream on our CSSJ Facebook page at CSSJ USTICE.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Anna Cho. I'm the Survivor Speak Director, and I am a survivor. We are so excited to be joined by survivors from all over the country. I just heard there are survivors calling in from more than 30 states. So give yourselves a round of applause. We have folks coming in from Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, my home state of California, Connecticut, DC, Florida, Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, Mississippi, Montana, Michigan, North Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Nevada, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. We also have our Survivors for Safety and Justice and Alliance for Safety and Justice staff with us. We have local, state, and national partners. So just shout out to everyone for being here. Thank you so much.
Today, survivors of crime are gathering to close out National Crime Victims' Rights Week to honor our survivor experiences in our communities. As a survivor of gun violence, I know the importance of coming together to turn our pain into power. Each year during the week, we elevate the needs of survivors and make our voices heard to shape public policy in our states and beyond. But this year is different. Coronavirus has made this year harder. We can't be at an in-person event together, and this has been a challenging time for many of us. See, us survivors in our communities know this moment all too well. Crisis is not new to us. We've had to fight for our health and safety with so many barriers in our way, and this moment is even harder for us. We just heard from a member in Cook County, Chicago, the other day who was driving around and distributing masks and gloves, trying to stop the spread among community activists and elders. He said, "We're losing our resources. Our elders are our greatest resource." We know that these issues of not having what we need to be healthy, safe, or to recover have been impacting our communities for far too long. Now, in the midst of this pandemic, we know the disparities we are seeing on how COVID-19 impacts some communities. Survivors, Black and Brown communities, Indigenous communities, low-income communities, and so many. It is a direct reflection of how we prioritize safety in this country. Our communities most harmed by crime and violence have always been most at risk and the least helped by the justice system. We are here together to make a difference, just like always. We are here to be there for one another and to make our voices heard so our communities and our survivors get the investments that we need to be healthy and safe, not only from COVID-19, but always. We can no longer accept the wasteful incarceration that leaves us in our communities without the resources we need to protect us and to be safe. That's why we've launched the Stop the Spread Action Plan, which you've heard about and will hear about throughout the day. It is our plan to get safety for our survivors in our communities by winning investments into our communities and safely reducing over-incarceration.
Thanks, Aswad. When Survivors Speak first began, it was because there was a missing voice, your voice. So we want you all to know that today is really about you and for you. You're going to be hearing from other survivors. You're going to be hearing from directors in your state and how you can win investments for your community. And we'll have some of our supporters speak to us, including some special guests and music performances as well. We know we can't be together in person, but this is still our year. It is still the year of the survivor, and we will win what our communities need most. We know that now more than ever, our voices are crucial to what we consider safety in this country, and we're going to be louder and we're going to be stronger than we ever have before, because when survivors speak, change happens. When survivors speak,
change happens.
When survivors speak,
change happens.
Please join me in welcoming our president and co-founder, Lenore Anderson.
Hello, Survivors Speak 2020. It is an honor to be here with you today. I'm Lenore Anderson. I'm the president of Alliance for Safety and Justice and co-founder of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. You just heard from our remarkable leaders, Aswad Thomas and Anna Cho Fenley. These two leaders and their phenomenal teams are the ones making it all happen all day, every day. A big round of virtual applause for the one and only Aswad and Anna Cho. Thank you so much for making today happen. It's a real honor to work with you. It's also a tremendous honor to be participating today with survivor leaders from across the country. This pandemic has been extremely stressful for many, and it has impacted many of us permanently. Whether we've lost loved ones, been sick ourselves, lost income, or struggled to maintain safety and stability, this is a time that has been very challenging for all of us. In this context, it's been such an honor to be a part of this network. I've been so humbled and grateful to be a part of the family of organizations that make this work possible. The focus on turning pain into power and healing into action, that's really helped me in the last few weeks, being in community with each of you. And so our hope is that being in community with us has also been helpful to you in getting through this extremely difficult time. As an organization and as a network, we are about changing laws and building power, organizing for the future. That's what we do. But at the core, what we're really about is people being in community together. We know that's where healing starts, is when we're people in community together. We know that's where true safety comes from. And that's what will make it possible for us to achieve the future that we all envision. So from everyone at Alliance for Safety and Justice, thank you for being here today. We see you, we honor you, and we love you. And we're so grateful to have a day to talk about what the future is going to look like. For our newer participants, I'll just share a little bit about the history of why we're here and tell you where we're going. When we started this work, our mission was to transform criminal justice and public safety policy. For too long, these public systems have not helped the communities that have been hardest hit by crime and violence. When we looked around at who was setting public policy, we saw a missing voice, and that voice is you. Y'all already know what has not worked when it comes to criminal justice and public safety policy. Decades of prison building and increased incarceration has left community safety needs unmet. Needs like restorative justice, crime prevention, rehabilitation, and treatment, trauma recovery. Those needs have suffered while prison building has grown. We know that this imbalance has been in the name of public safety and protecting victims, but that's not what survivors have needed or said makes communities safe. So we got to organizing. We've been building membership, building chapters, training leaders, giving elected officials the solutions that they seek. Now, Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice has thousands of members. We've got chapters all over the country. And together with Alliance for Safety and Justice and Californians for Safety and Justice, we've passed laws and won budget allocations to advance a new vision for safety. We've gone from just one trauma recovery center out in California to more than 36 trauma recovery centers in 5 states across the country. We've passed laws that have reduced incarceration by more than 50,000 people, and we've won reforms that have expanded access to victim services, put survivors in government positions, in leadership positions in government, and allocated hundreds of millions of dollars to crime prevention and treatment. That's what you've done. That's what everyone that has joined with Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice has achieved. That's what your leadership has resulted in. And we also know that we have so much further to go. Even before COVID hit, 63 million Americans have been a victim of crime in the last 10 years, half of those victims of violent crime. Yet only 1 in 9 survivors has been able to access services, victim services, through a criminal justice agency. And 2 in 3 survivors have not been able to gain access to any help at all. If we care about public safety, this makes no sense. But you have the solutions. You've been working with us, and we've been honored to be a vessel for advocating for those solutions. You've said less incarceration, more prevention, shorter sentences, more treatment, less of a singular focus on the punitive response to crime and more of a focus holistically on public health as the path to public safety. You've been saying that for years, and that's never been more important. If there were ever a time to listen to that voice calling for public health as the pathway to public safety, it's now. That's what survivors have been saying, and that's what we're joining with you to advocate for. And it's also why we launched the Stop the Spread Action Plan. After COVID hit, we knew that it was more important than ever before that what we've been saying about the best pathway to public safety be heard, because it's also the best pathway to public health. So we want you to get involved in our Stop the Spread Action Plan. Here are the major pieces of it. Federal aid. We need to make sure that Congress provides federal aid to communities in need, vulnerable communities, to help survivors and vulnerable community members be safe and healthy. With that kind of access, we can help stop the spread. The second, equip essential services. We must be able at the federal and state level to equip the frontline service providers with the kind of support they need to be able to provide people in crisis a helping hand. That includes technology, that includes PPE, that includes flexible funding. The next, no red tape for frontline service providers. We have got to make it easier for the folks at the community level who are trusted, who are delivering help to people in need. We have to make it easier for those leaders to get access to flexible funding without arduous red tape restrictions on getting access to support and money to run their programs. And most importantly, we've got to anchor this moment in a new pathway to safety that means reducing incarceration and putting the money in communities. The spread of COVID in our jails and prisons is a spread of COVID in our communities as well. It's impossible to socially distance in these facilities. We've got to protect our loved ones who are incarcerated, who can be safely released back into communities so we can stop the spread there and stop the spread at the community level as well. We can no longer afford to waste money on a justice system that fails to make people safe when community health needs are going unmet. And that's what our Stop the Spread call is about. That's what we're working with you to accomplish. So join us. We're so grateful to have you here today. I'm really excited to have now turn over to a special message from a very special guest. This is someone that has been with us since we started working with him in Florida, and he's a fan of everyone on this call, and we're all fans of his. So let's give it up for our special guest.
Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy T-Pain. Just wanted to come by and say what's up. I was definitely just with some of y'all in Florida. I was in Tallahassee checking out everything. So, I met a lot of y'all, and I just wanted to meet the rest of y'all today for the first ever virtual Survivor Speak conference. So, I know some of y'all are disappointed that the event didn't make it to your state. That was supposed to happen this year, but, we all know this is what we had to do to keep everybody safe and, help stop the spread and, flatten the curve and all that stuff. But I am excited to see so many survivors coming together today to make a change for these communities, man. It's really cool, and I appreciate y'all for that. As far as like today, we got people all the way from my state of Florida, and we got them all the way from the West Coast. They're calling in today. So we still doing our thing, you know what I'm saying? And you see, I support because I am one of you. So this is breathtaking, man. And I appreciate y'all coming through for this. As y'all know, my family had survived violence too. You know what I'm saying? In 2017, we lost my niece to a violent crime. So, that was devastating. My family definitely experienced the trauma associated with loss and violence. And like so many of you and your families, I've definitely experienced that. So, I know that this being in isolation and having to social distance ourselves can be super difficult. The memories of our losses and the pain of what we've been going through and what we've been through in the past can take over. So I know how that is. There's pictures everywhere and I got pictures of all my people up in my studio and stuff. So I know how just being home and staying around it can cause some things. But these are tough times. I get that. But together, we're definitely gonna get through this, guys. Trust me. So I just want to say I see you. I'm with all of y'all. We are survivors, and we definitely got this. Now more than ever, it's very important that we check in on each other. Make sure you check on your funny homeboy, check on your funny homegirl, and make sure they good. Because I'm telling you, the people that make you the most happy are the people that are the least. So just check on them. You know what I'm saying? Make sure everybody got the right attitude about everything. But just make sure we stay on that and leaning into our collective healing. You know what I'm saying? And doing our best to take care of one another. So sit back, put your heart in the front seat, and let's go. Because when survivors speak, change happens. Y'all already know that. Now, enjoy the rest of this thing. I got more hits to make. Y'all be good. Holla.
Thank you, T-Pain. Thank you for being part of our family. Thank you for all the work that you do in turning your pain into power. We've talked a lot about the Stop the Spread campaign to expand crisis assistance and safely reduce incarceration. It is our plan to win safety for our communities that many crime victim organizations and providers of services to communities have signed on to support. And many of you have supported it as well, writing letters to your members of Congress. We're going to have to win support not only from Congress, but support from leaders in our states. You all are going to be the most important voices to help ensure our communities get the support that they need to protect us from COVID-19 and win long-term healthy and safety solutions. If you haven't already signed up, join the new Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice Advocacy Care Team, or ACT as we would say. We want you to join by signing up through the link that will be posted in the chat box. This is our new exciting volunteer network for crime survivors from across the country to join and call upon one another and get involved in our state-based campaigns. You're going to hear from our staff leaders in each of our states about what the impact of COVID has been there and what we've been focusing on, what we'll need to focus on, and how you can be involved. We're going to need you to get involved at the state level. Join the Advocacy Care Team to ensure we raise our voices for our communities. We only win with your leadership. Join other survivors on your state advocacy team, take leadership, help win resources for your community, and come together with other survivors to support each other. Go to our website, www.cssj.org, and join the ACT Care Team. That link will also be posted in the chat box to make sure that we are there for each other and that you all are part of our team. Now let's hear from our state directors from across the country.
Hi, my name is Tanish Hollins. I'm the California State Director of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. I am from San Francisco, California, and I'm so honored to be here today for Survivors Speak. California has been impacted, just like the entire globe in the entire country, by COVID-19. For our survivors, it really has been a challenge to deal with the isolation, the PTSD, and some other issues that may come up just from being quarantined. But our communities are strong. They're coming together. They're doing everything they can to support each other in this moment, to make sure that frontline community workers are being given the support that they need to continue supporting each other in the community. And we're doing our best to thrive. Survivor Speak is an opportunity for us to come together and elevate the issues that we see happening in the community for a moment of healing, solidarity, and action. In California, we've been able to do that in a couple of ways. We've been making calls to our survivors to check in, see if there are any emerging needs in the community. We actually held a town hall this past Tuesday with legislators, survivor leaders, community providers to have more of a discussion about ways that we can come together to make sure that victim services, trauma recovery, rehabilitation is a part of the state's response to stop the spread of COVID-19. I want to shout out and thank all of our California chapters. We have a chapter in Los Angeles, Sacramento, Stockton, Inland Empire, San Francisco, the East Bay, I don't know if I'm leaving anybody out. That would be horrible. But I love all of our chapter coordinators. Their work has been pivotal to this movement, bringing survivors into a community of healers, a network of support, and elevating their voices to make change. We were able to do that last year through SB 375, which extended the timeline for crime victims to apply for victims' compensation in the state. And that work was done directly by our crime survivor members in our chapters throughout the state. So we want to say thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. We're with you in this moment. And Survivor Speak is all about healing to action. So let's get it.
Hi, everyone. My name is John Mackey. I'm the director for the state of Illinois. I'm based in Chicago. Since the COVID-19 crisis began, we've been working hard to respond. We organized really an unprecedented town hall where more than 300 people registered. We talked about the resources that were available from the federal level, what the state needed to do to respond in a way that was trauma-informed, that served all survivors. On the call were the primary budget chairs of the state for the state, Senate, and House. We also had our champion and ally, the Attorney General Kwame Raoul, and the executive director of the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, whose agency oversees more than $20 million of federal stimulus funds. One of the most important things that we're doing on right now is to make sure that the federal stimulus funds that are coming to Illinois are equally distributed, that is done through a philosophy of shared safety, and that in particular, the services that we need to support that support crime survivors are fully funded. I want to give a shout out to the amazing chapters in Illinois, in Peoria, Chicago's Austin neighborhood, and Inglewood neighborhood, and East St. Louis. And lastly, I just want to say, we're here for you. You inspire me. Let's make sure that we're in a really difficult time, not just in terms of the infection we're dealing with, but the really painful budget decisions that are coming down the road. So we're going to need all of you to fight for those resources and to make sure that we can stand together.
Hi, everyone. This is Shakira Diaz, the Ohio State Director. I am sending you a big old hug with my heart. I know that we're not together the way we typically are, but I just want to tell you that, I miss you, we love you, and we appreciate all the hard work that you're doing. COVID-19 has impacted all of our communities. Ohio was one of the very first states to shut down pretty early. Schools have been suspended for the rest of the year. And for many of us, these are very triggering times. That said, the value that you bring in centering yourselves and centering our community is extremely powerful. I commend you for showing up in leadership, showing up on behalf of your community, showing up as a survivor. Many of you have been involved in advocacy care teams, reaching out to other survivors, just making sure everyone is okay. Thank you for that. It's important that, we hold our community close. We have seen some pretty significant impacts, in Ohio. Ohio is home to the #1 and #2 hotspot in the nation in two of our prisons. We have also learned of just gaps in services, as it relates to victim services. And a lot of that we're learning from you. So thank you for that. Thank you for the information sharing and your advocacy. It's important that we stay in contact. It's important that it informs all of our advocacy efforts. To date, we have been focusing on really advocating at the federal and state level for resources to make sure that survivors get the resources they need in order to heal and recover appropriately. We've been advocating hard to make sure that people are safely released from prison with the appropriate supports. Our efforts will not stop, but as you know, we're a family, we're a team, and we cannot do any of this without you. So we're gonna keep, doing what we do, and we're gonna be victorious.
Hi, I'm Harvey Santana, the Government Affairs Manager for the Alliance for Safety and Justice in the state of Michigan. While we are all experiencing a tremendous change due to COVID-19 and some of our original goals have been momentarily delayed, I believe it is important for us to reflect on what we have accomplished and what we are striving to achieve. We are advocating for funding from a federal grant called the Victims of Crime Act to fund trauma recovery centers in the cities of Detroit, Flint, and Battle Creek. This is critical as it will help meet the needs of crime survivors in the most affected areas, urban and rural, in Michigan. As you know, we are focused on shared safety for all of us, which includes making sure that people who come home from prison don't face barriers that make it impossible for them to live a safe, productive life. Prior to COVID-19, ASJ was advocating for a bipartisan package of bills known as the Clean Slate. This package of bills would change various sections of law to make it easier for individuals seeking an expungement to do so. This package received tremendous bipartisan support in the House of Representatives and currently sits in the Senate Judiciary Committee, where we expect a hearing when session returns to normal. Finally, as you know, the CARES Act passed by Congress has funding directed to the state of Michigan for assistance to law enforcement. At ASJ, we believe that law enforcement needs every bit of help we can provide. This is why we are advocating for funding to support service providers to help address the needs of our vulnerable communities and ensure that the resources are firmly in place so that law enforcement can focus on their important work. We will need our Michigan CSSJ chapters to help us move these initiatives forward. So stay tuned. Thank you for participating in Survivor Speak 2020. And now I would like to introduce Representative Barana Kali to share with us some parting thoughts.
The coronavirus crisis has been difficult for everyone, but it has presented communities impacted by crime with even greater hardships than they already endure. Thank you for letting me be part of Survivors Speak. I wish that we could be together in person, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to connect this way under our current circumstances. I want you to know that I'm with you in your mission of shared safety and your sense of urgency to ensure survivor safety at this time. Well, this includes a few important things like transforming how victim services and crime victim compensation are prioritized and delivered. It also includes advocating for essential services during our current crisis, such as domestic violence shelters, trauma recovery services, and nonprofit and faith-based services. In addition, I want you to know that I support Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice in the call to action. And the call to action under the current conditions that we are in includes things like removing barriers for crime survivors to access services. It's increasing our emergency shelter options for people without safety. That includes domestic violence victims and gun violence survivors. And what we're seeing more and more of is continuing to develop telehealth options so people can continue to access health care and mental health care that they need safely from their own homes. Also, the telehealth option includes some proactive work like establishing or expanding crisis assistance with navigator hotlines and even tele-wellness checks to connect people with care. So thank you very much for your work building a movement for healing together. It matters. I'm with you.
Hi, Tara Tucker, Texas State Director for Alliance for Safety and Justice. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Like everywhere else, COVID-19 has impacted everyone in Texas, and the effect it has had on survivors is especially dire. We were already faced with obstacles in accessing trauma recovery services, and now the services we did have been even harder, if not impossible, to access. In addition, the rates of domestic abuse and child abuse cases are on the rise at a time when limited social interaction makes it harder to detect and respond to. We are working hard advocating for the needs of our Texas communities. We have been advocating at the state and local levels to ensure that essential services remain open and have the resources they need to reach people. We will also be working with the Attorney General in the coming months to help protect the Crime Victims Compensation Fund from state funding cuts we know are coming down the pike. I want to thank all the Texas chapters and all the work you do and the support you offer me and each other and your communities. I see you, Houston, Dallas, Richmond, Fort Worth, Austin, and El Paso. There would be no CSSJ or ASJ without you. I also want to thank the policymakers and service providers who participated in our online Texas Town Hall meeting in March. We had more than 100 survivors on the call to hear from Representative Moody and Representative Leach, co-chairs of the House Criminal Justice Caucus, about what they are doing to support survivors at the state level, and we got updates from the frontline service providers who work directly with crime victims in their local communities. Our work has only begun. COVID releases from prison have not happened in Texas, and releases from jails have slowed down. We need to continue to advocate for safe, responsible releases that connect people with reentry services and education about COVID. We will also continue to advocate for funding for essential services for our survivors and reentry services. Lastly, we continue to build a powerful network of service providers and faith leaders. And if you haven't already joined, or you know someone who should, please contact myself or Tricia Forbes. We have to stay connected. The policy team cannot be effective without your voices, and we are going to need your help to make sure that your experiences influence the policy decisions made around victim services and criminal justice. Thank you all for being here today for our first National Survivor Speak. I'm now going to turn it over to Representative James White, the House Chair of the House Committee on Corrections.
I am sorry we couldn't be meeting in person, but I wanted to send a quick message to show my support for the great work of crime survivors for safety and justice. I am Texas State Representative James White, and I chair the House Committee on Corrections. I am proud to serve my fellow Southeast Texans in Polk, Tyler, Jasper, Newton, and Hardin counties. The purpose of our criminal justice system is to provide constitutional public safety by discouraging wrongdoing, punishing those that violate the norms of our free society, rehabilitating and reintegrating the justice involved into free society, and most important, restoring the victims of crime. Therefore, I stand with you in your mission to bring survivors of crime to the table when we are having very important conversations about what is going to reduce crime and foster safe communities. As Texans are experiencing this deadly COVID-19 attack, I understand that our public health is our public safety. So therefore, I'm working to ensure that we are healthy so we can be safe. My key priorities around your safety include advocating for services that are critical to crime survivors, such as domestic violence shelters, trauma recovery services, and nonprofit and faith-based services. We must preserve and resource these vital services. During this pandemic, we must ensure that our national, state, and local governing entities deem these crime victim services as essential, eliminating barriers that make it difficult or impossible for crime survivors to access these services, expanding the capacity of organizations and services that provide critical assistance for vulnerable communities, developing telehealth options like navigator hotlines and tele-wellness checks so that people can continue to access health and mental health care they need to safely reside in their homes. We have to make sure that people who need the help, our crime victims, can get help no matter what is happening. I am proud to be your partner in making sure that all Texans are safe and healthy. And thank you for hosting this wonderful week of Survivors Speak events to recognize the voices and needs of crime survivors. May God bless you, and through you, God continue to bless our great nation and the great state of Texas. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sebastian Teal. I'm the Florida State Director for the Alliance for Safety and Justice. Like everyone that just spoke, we know that COVID-19 has affected the state of Florida like it's affected all of us in deep, deep ways that are life-changing. For one, a lot of our survivors are facing the same thing that everyone else in the state is facing, near depression levels of unemployment. And on top of that, this victimization hasn't stopped the day that COVID came to the state of Florida. If anything, the ability to get help as a victim of crime has become harder. Last year, we had a major victory in the form of HB 7125 that, amongst other things, tripled the time that survivors had to apply for victims' compensation. This year, the COVID crisis broke out towards the end of our session. And like all of our priorities, a lot of our priorities have been put on hold. Nonetheless, I've been really proud to see across the state, our members really stepping up, and in some ways stepping up even before the crisis hit. Before the crisis hit, we had members that were setting up telesupport groups, doing telecounseling, and things that are now the norm. The other thing that happened in the past couple of weeks is the governor responded to the needs and to the work that y'all do by making sure that service workers, social workers, and public health workers were considered essential workers. That's a big victory for us. And like everyone else, we had town halls where we brought members together. And we brought our members together to have a conversation with the Attorney General's office on how people that provide the support for survivors in our community can ensure that they continue to get the resources to help our community remain safe. Now, my goal moving forward, and all of our goals moving forward, is to make sure that our communities have the resources to keep ourselves healthy and safe. And I'm going to make sure that that happens with your help. As a special shout out to all of our survivors that do the work, I always tell you, I'm here because you're here. I do the work I do because of the work that you do. And the work that you have been doing has made me proud. A lot of you are out in the community every day, making sure that survivors are getting the services they need, sometimes donning masks when you can't go out in the community because you're staying at home. You're doing the work that you can from your laptops and computers while you're raising kids and teaching kids. So a shout out to our chapters, to our members, Miami-Dade, Parkland, Fort Pierce, Naples, Immokalee, Orlando, Tampa, St. Pete, Dade City, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Quincy. I love you all. I love you all, and I love what you do for our community. And let's make sure that we heal through action. Thank you. And we're going to hear from a good friend of mine, Senator Jose Javier Rodriguez, who also addressed us during our very successful Survivor Speaks just a month ago.
I'm State Senator Jose Javier Rodriguez. I'm here with one of my sons. We are social distancing. We're being safe for the good of all. And I thank you for allowing me to join you virtually during Survivors Speak. And I thank Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice for your advocacy. We need policies to promote healing and to promote access to services that survivors need to be safe and anchored. Our mission is shared safety. We share a sense of urgency to ensure survivor safety is prioritized, and this means transforming how victim services and crime victim compensation are delivered, especially here in Florida, where I serve, and advocating for essential services during our current crisis, such as domestic violence shelters, trauma recovery services, and nonprofit and faith-based services. In addition, I support Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice in your call to action, removing barriers for crime survivors in accessing services, expanding the capacity of organizations that provide assistance to vulnerable communities, both to help reduce exposure risks, but also to get people to safety, increasing our emergency shelter options for people without safety, including domestic violence victims and gun violence survivors, and finally, developing telehealth options. People need them to continue accessing health and mental health care that they need to safely receive services in their homes. We should also include assistance navigator hotlines and telehealth wellness checks to connect people to care.
Greetings. I'm State Representative Stephanie House, President of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus. I want to thank you, Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, for including me in Survivor Speak. It was great to be with you all last year when I spoke at the Survivor Speak press conference, and I wish we could be together this year. As you know, I truly value the work of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice and your advocacy for survivors from communities that are most harmed and least likely to be at the tables when it comes to developing public policy. Your mission of shared safety is top on my mind as we go through these trying times. This is especially true for Black people and people of color who are disparately impacted not only by systems, but also by this pandemic. We see now more than ever, public health is public safety. I share your sense of urgency to ensure survivors and communities are safe. This includes pushing for ongoing support for Ohio's trauma recovery centers, advocating for essential services during this crisis and beyond, including support for domestic violence shelters, treatment recovery services, re-entry, nonprofit, and faith-based services, as well as advocating for safe and responsible release of prisoners, where those releases will help to maintain prisoners and community safety. Once again, thank you for including me in Survivor Speak. Thank you all for the work that you do.
Hi, I'm Assemblymember Shirley Weber, representing the 79th Assembly District, and I'm honored to be here today to say to you once again that we're very proud of what you've done as survivors of crime. All of us are experiencing some tremendous stress right now with the stay-at-home order, the issue of the pandemic, trying to be isolated and keep ourselves healthy. That for you is added on to the stress of being a survivor of crime. And you need to know that it's okay to feel extremely stressful, because all of us do, but you will have added stress. And don't let that basically deter you from recognizing the fact that you have it, that you can reach out to others, and there are many who can help you. But I just want to say really that I'm very proud of you, what you've done, because many of you have suffered some traumatic things in your life, and yet you have rebuilt yourself, you've moved forward, but most importantly, you're helping so many others to deal with the issues of crime. So once again, congratulations on your celebration of this week and the celebration of those who are victims of crime. Stay strong, stay safe, and remember that the legislature is always with you and working with you to make sure that those who are victims of crime are not victimized again. So once again, congratulations, and I'm honored to know you.
Thank you, state directors, and to our electeds for joining us today. We definitely couldn't do this work without you. And your partnership is very important, so we just thank you for your support of survivors. I am so excited to introduce this next conversation. As many of you know, Survivor Speak has always been a space for us to share our survivor experiences and particularly our healing journeys. We know that right now in this global pandemic, so many of us are experiencing loss, we're experiencing isolation, our past triggers, memories, and so much more. So these two experts, Dr. Butler, artist and actor Mario, are going to be sharing with us just tips and tools on our collective care during COVID. Dr. B?
Thank you, Anna, for connecting us. Mario, I am so delighted that you decided to join us. As we know, it is so important as survivors to be able to connect around our collective care, which is so different from self-care. We attend to our collective journeys as survivors by sharing our strategies with each other. But before we get into it, Mario, would you mind sharing just a little bit about what brings you to the work?
Yes.
And some of your strategies?
Yes, thank you, Anna. Thank you, Dr. Butler, for having me. First and foremost, I think it's really unique that, the things that are bringing us together right now are the very things that also we fear the most, and sometimes it is that fear that that we should look at and say, well, why is it that we fear things? Where is this fear stemming from? And a lot of times it's in that fear that we find ways to get to a solution. What brings me here is hearing about what survivors represents, both on the ground, in our hearts, in their hearts, and feeling like a survivor myself. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. A lot of people know me from music, know me from films and TV and being an entertainer. But before I was able to embark on that part of my life at a young age, 15 years old, I was a kid in Baltimore. I grew up in a household of 18 people, in a small household in the inner city of Baltimore. My grandmother raised most of my family, most of my cousins. But my mom suffered with heroin addiction. So for most of my life, I dealt with, being the child of a substance abusing parent and like going through those trials and tribulations with her. When I was 13, I got adopted. And I ended up moving away. My first manager was pretty much my adopted parent. And that's how I got into the industry. But I still felt I still felt like I didn't have a place in the world. I didn't know who I was. As a young artist, you are kind of like put in the forefront and you wear this mask, right? And pretty much your light is used to make money, your art, but you're not healing. You're not growing. You're not growing personally. So by the time I turned 18 years old, I had traveled the world. I had seen a lot of crazy things in the industry. I was exposed to drugs, sex, rock and roll, and just everything that you can imagine. But I think growing up in Baltimore, being that I had seen all of that already, it wasn't surprising to me. It wasn't something where I was like losing myself in it, because I think I saw so much at a young age. I was exposed to everything. My mom exposed me to everything. Not growing up with a father and seeing my younger cousins, the police would come and raid our house because they were selling drugs, and like twice a month police breaking in our house. And living in Baltimore, you just see literally every aspect of trauma. Abuse, substance abuse. You see violence, of course. You see crime, towards your own people. You see, I think my grandmother, though, she showed me what being a powerful spirit is in the midst of darkness. She went to church every Sunday, cooked for the family. She showed me what unconditional love was. And I think that's what kind of carried me through to the point where I was able to then fend for myself and take care of myself and learn how to heal myself. Her spirit, she passed when I was 12, but her spirit carried me through, because I saw how, though she was getting used by my family, she wasn't appreciated the way she worked 3 jobs. She never lost her soul. She never gave up on people. And I used to always, growing up, you wonder, you're like, where does that strength come from? What type of heart do you have to have in order to not judge people? I remember one time we had just left church on a Wednesday, and our church was like in the city, like on the other side of town. And we were leaving the market. The car was full of people. All my cousins were in the car. We were like jam-packed. And this homeless lady was standing outside. It was raining. It was pouring down rain. It was thunderstorming. And my grandmother, she just went in to like get like some milk or something else. We sat in the car for 15 minutes, and I saw her contemplating. And I'm like, what is she contemplating about? I'm like maybe like 10, 11 at the time. She took the homeless lady home with us, fed her the next morning, and then took her to a shelter the next day. That's the type of heart and spirit she had. And I can't say I've ever met anybody like her before, not even in my family. So that part of her spirit stayed with me even when she passed. So when I saw the other side of things being in the industry, and I saw how people who had everything, quote unquote, were still going through the same traumas. And I'm like, okay, so this has nothing to do with, obviously there's levels to it, systematically to it, when it comes to like people having and not having, but trauma ultimately is something that you can heal from, you can heal yourself. My grandmother showed me that. So I was like, I want to learn that in my own way. So I started doing meditations, and I started studying and understanding the power that we have to heal ourselves at a young age. I would say about 20 is when I really started, because I just noticed the industry taking a toll on me. I noticed it starting to bother me. And on top of that, me not having a foundation was just, it's like double trouble, So that's when I started, that's when I started really diving in, and just seeing that there weren't any resources where I came from. And once you start to heal and you start to you're not distracted by your trauma so much, now you can see things much more clear, and you can see your past, and you can forgive yourself, and you can see maybe things that have happened that you didn't want to look at before, that you wanted to forget. They start to come back up as you heal, and you work through these things, and then you become a healer yourself. There's a saying, hurt people but heal people, help to heal people, right? So I think that's what we are. That's what we're here for. Like we're Avengers in this point in time where we would never think that this pandemic would pull us together like this, right? So now it's like the Avengers, you went through everything you had to go through, to heal and to understand that your purpose and what you went through can help heal others and heal yourself even more when you're actually focusing on it. And it's something that you are ready for. You're ready to go through the process of healing. And it's a beautiful journey. It's a bittersweet journey, obviously, but I think that's what I'm here for.
I love it. So the ability to witness and bear witness to extreme harm, to watch pure light through your grandmother's spirit, and transition that into the work that you're doing right now, bears light in the way that you show up today.
Yes.
And so well beyond being an artist, you are first human in spirit. And one of the questions that I would have for you, like personally, as well as our survivors who are listening right now, is how do you activate that sense of healing in you every day?
Well, there's definitely an initial awareness that needs to be focused on self. I think energy follows awareness. So it's stepping back from society and the world as we know it through our experience, our programmed experience, stepping back from that, being able to see yourself outside of that, and really look at yourself and forgive yourself for any consent you've given to a life that you didn't choose or a life that was forced upon you. And once you do that, I think that you start to, naturally learn to love yourself, and you start studying more and you start reading more, whether it be, your focus might be, okay, I want to work out more and I want to be more healthy. Your focus might be, I want to stop overthinking and being, harsh towards myself. Another focus could be, I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm being abused mentally or physically. How do I get outside of that? First, I got to heal myself. First, I got to accept that this isn't my choice. This isn't something that, I chose. It's something that I found myself in, maybe from one choice that led to a domino effect of things. And now I'm in this position, but I'm not stuck. I can heal. I can get out of this situation. I can become the person that attracts something better for me. But I think it starts with definitely focusing awareness on yourself and on the fact that God loves you.
Yeah.
And, everybody, when we're incarnated into this physical realm, it's contrast. There's no dark without light. It's just a part of it. But our goal is to balance it all out. And unfortunately, we live in a society and a world that's gone so far off the path of balance that, we've just got caught up in these systems. And again, I think now is the time where everything is highlighted. All the stuff is rising to the top. And so now we have the opportunity to collectively come together with organizations like Survivors who are on the front line. People are not seeing it though. People are not on the front. We got to let people know that there are people on the front line fighting. Survivors, let me specifically say survivors, on the front line fighting for healing to be a part of a necessity in our country and politics, everything. It's a part of the way we make our country better, the way we make our world better. Because when we heal ourselves, we'll heal the planet. When we heal the planet, we'll live better, we'll feel better. Even our desires shift. It's not like, everybody's like, we got to get to the bag. We got to survive. Chasing the bag doesn't lead to healing. Chasing the bag doesn't lead to happiness. But society forces you to focus on the margins of people that have and the margins of people that have not. So I think all of it's collectively tethered together to create a world that's just unbalanced. And, we're here to speak about how to do that. So to speak specifically about techniques, there's not, I don't think every technique works for everybody. Techniques work for different people differently. So I think that, again, the first thing is becoming aware. Finding time throughout your day to spend alone, just literally focusing on being present. Like this. sometimes you just gotta stop. And you gotta take a deep breath and feel yourself and feel your heart, feel your pain, feel everything. And know that it's a process. You know, you can't rush the process of healing, just like you didn't rush the process of experiencing trauma. It's something that is gradual. And we have to take these same approaches and be patient with ourselves. I know a lot of people that I know, they're not patient with themselves. And it took me some time to learn how to be patient with myself, especially in a world that's moved so fast and that has so much demand for your presence, your energy, your time, your life. So you got to be selfish with your time, with your energy sometimes so that you can heal. It can be meditation. It can be reading. It could be listening to certain frequencies of music that actually help to heal. There's, as we know, we live in an energetic realm and we're energetic beings. So there's music, there's obviously eating healthier. There's so much we could go into, but all of these things I've collectively learned over the years what works best for me. But it took me time. I had to practice different things, practice different diets, practice different sleeping patterns, practice different retracting from certain parts of my life, whether it be certain friends, whether it be certain people. Sometimes it's painful because you get used to certain cycles, and pulling back from those cycles can be painful because you're tethered to it, you're attached to it. So attachments has a lot to do with it, and all of these things are the human part of it. The spirit, of course, when the spirit is compressed, it experiences trauma, it experiences pain, it experiences detachment from like being able to be its full self, which to me is trauma. It's a traumatic experience to not be able to express yourself to the fullest level. And the society we live in today, everybody's I'm not gonna say everybody, I hate to say that. A lot of people are very judgmental, so you feel like you can't be yourself and you feel like you can't go out and express yourself freely because you're scared of being judged, and I think that's another part of freedom and sovereignty is expressing yourself, whether it's in your household with your family, whether it's with your friends, whether it's just with random people, like being expressive and being open about how you feel about things and not, putting so much pressure on yourself to fit in a specific box, because your spirit feels that, your body feels that, your mind programs itself to naturally do that in certain cases. And now maybe something that you're supposed to do naturally in your life, you're not learning that you have that ability because you're not allowing yourself to access that. So just all these different things of accepting yourself, I think comes through spending time and being present with yourself. And I think that's the beginning of it.
Listen, Mario, as a survivor, we quickly learn to pivot, right? When we have moments of disruption. And what you were anchoring us in was this understanding that through liberation comes through when we can experience being our full selves.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of being our full selves is navigating this journey of what healing looks like,
Mm-hmm.
what healing is experienced as individually as well as collectively. See, that's the part that
individually as one.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
Because what we understand is, as I take care of myself, I am better equipped to take care of the connected us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that story of what happened with your grandmother and the way in which she extends herself is clearly reigns through your DNA today.
Thank you.
I see it.
That's the greatest compliment anybody could give me. I honor her on so many levels. I feel her presence with me so much, in the darkest times of my life. Thus far, my 33 years of living, I have always leaned on to her love that's never left. You know what I'm saying? And it's really important, for us to have those types of people in our lives, even if it's for short. It's crazy because I only spent 12 years of my life with her, but it felt like so much longer because her love, that's how powerful love is, y'all. Survivors, this is how powerful love is. Love literally transcends everything. Yeah. It is the foundation of our existence, which is why when it's absent, it feels so painful.
Yeah.
And the absence comes in the form of trauma. It comes in the form of not accepting self. It comes in the form of being judged by others, being ridiculed by others, being hurt by others. It comes in all these different forms, but it's the awareness of that can lead us back to a healing process. And yeah, so.
And a part of that healing process is coming to full self and finding our tribe. Yes. And Mario, I am so glad to have met you. You have shaped me. Wow. Just by your expression, and that's real.
Thank you.
The way that you're able to talk about the harm that happens when people take liberties or people are not invested in their healing is not attended to. That doesn't create space for us to be safe together.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what it's about, right? Because we all come from different. Sorry, it's my dog. They're barking at the guy outside.
This is real life, Mario, right?
Hey! Be quiet.
Listen, Mario, this is real life. Between dogs barking, phones ringing, we still yet find space to share and co-create what healing looks like. You know, that's right.
Yeah, like we're the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? We're here now, you know, on the front lines. Like, you know, my career and my music is just a platform. You know, like it's almost impossible for me to do the groundwork just with my music, you know, because the music industry it's fluff. You know what I'm saying? It's smoke and mirrors, a lot of it, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. I'm on a call. Go outside. Go out there. Go out there. Go outside. Good boy. Go back. Go back. Sorry. So, you know, yeah, so it's hard to like be the full extent of who I am. So this is like ground zero right here. You know what I'm saying? This is where we come together and we put our experiences, our knowledge. Everybody has a superpower. That's what we got. Everybody literally, I don't care if you feel like you've never been anything, you've never had anything, you're broke, you have been beaten, you have a superpower that's embedded in you that's so strong because of what you've gone through. It's like kinetic energy. If anybody watched Black Panther, when he put the black suit on, he was getting beat up and he was getting all that power, and then he released it when he needed to. It's like that. You're if you're still alive, you can fight back. Even your spirit, when you pass on, can fight back. Don't get it twisted. Those people that leave here and they may experience trauma, their spirits are strong, man. Your spirit never dies. You know, so it's powerful when you can merge your spirit with your will of intention as a human being. You're that much more powerful, and God is right there with you. God is right there with you. So I'm here today to tell the survivors today that you guys it's 2020. We're in the age of Aquarius. All of this craziness is going on, but on the other side, frequencies are rising on the planet. You are here as a portal to help usher in this change that's 100% coming, because we're not going to stop until we see a change in our societies. This has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with. We're learning right now that race and your money don't matter, because that can stop tomorrow. We have no control over that in reality, quote unquote reality. You know, so it ain't about that. It's about your heart. It's about your will. It's about your strength. And it's about us coming together collectively and doing our parts. You know, you guys are on the ground. Y'all in the streets. Y'all at the local governments. Y'all fighting for something. You know, I'm here, you know, from my perspective, getting codes about things that I've experienced to share with you. Like it's Avengers. We the Avengers right now. We here to show people that have lost sight of what being human is about. We're here to show them that we're going to stick together and that we're going to usher in this change that's inevitably going to happen. I believe it. I know it will.
Mario, I want to say thank you. I know it will. And having you with us today.
Thank you.
And not just today, I've already invited you to the full family of survivors.
Yes. Thank you.
Part of
yeah.
a part of our work and a part of our superpower, as you said, is elevating our voices and healing through action. And so healing is prioritized where we're doing the things that you just listed today. and letting that move us to that avenger state, that survivor state, that thriver state that says, now let's elevate policies, let's elevate communities that create the sense where we belong.
Absolutely.
Places where we feel safe, right?
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, survivors. Special thanks to Tiffany Kumar for connecting me with Anna. And thank you, Dr. Butler, for this. And thank you for the technical team, Quincy, everybody on the back end, making sure that this is running real smooth. And survivors, I love you guys. Thank y'all again for having me. We in this together, and I hope that I was able to shed some light. I'm inspired, and I love you guys.
I love you. When survivors speak, change happens. Thank you.
Good morning and good afternoon, survivors. My name is Eris Edie. I'm the project organizer for Survivor Speaks and Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. Today, we find ourselves in a world that none of us have ever imagined. Placed on top of our already challenging lives, we are learning to survive our hurt, pain, and grief while doing our best to stay healthy, protect our families, and this earth. We are longing for both connection and a break. We miss the things and places that make us feel alive. None of us are sure what will come next. But what will never change is our need to speak. Audre Lorde once said, "Your silence will not protect you." And you have found yourself here, logged in to your computer or dialed in by phone or streaming live on social media. Because even in isolation and social distance, our voices will be heard. Because when survivors speak, we turn pain into action, action into advocacy, and advocacy into change. When survivors speak, we are braver and stronger with courage as our breastplate. We bend, but don't break when survivors speak. We don't stand in the shadows and wait. We shine, we thrive, we save lives when survivors speak. We shut down the stigma, dismantle the strongholds of grief. Though we may cry, we keep our eyes and our heads held high. Survivors speak for everything we've endured. Survivors speak for every loved one lost. Survivors speak for all the things that will make our nation safer. Survivors speak for those before us and for those who will come. Survivors speak, and we will wail if we need be, because when survivors speak, survivors get free. Peace, y'all.
Hello, survivors. My name is Teal. I am the founding member of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, and I'm a survivor.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Adela Barajas y soy representante del grupo de fundación de sobrevivientes de crimen y justicia, y también soy una sobreviviente.
When Survivor Speaks first started, we came to elevate our voices through collective healing. It's always been a tradition at Survivor Speaks to light a candle while we are together.
Como sobrevivientes, desde que empezó la organización, es una tradición de cuando venimos juntos y estamos juntos, prender una veladora en memoria de nuestros seres queridos.
So now I want you to join me in a 1-minute moment of silence to honor all crime survivors, ourselves, and our loved ones during this pandemic. And I'm going to raise my candle. I don't know if you can see it. Light it. And I want to invite folks, while we light our candles, to share the names of loved ones who are passed on, who are maybe ill right now from COVID-19, who needs some prayer and some love and positive vibrations sent their way.
Y ahora vamos a todos a prender la veladora, y muchísimas gracias a todos los que pusieron sus nombres de sus víctimas en anticipado, y prendemos una vela para que así recordemos a todos y para traer paz y salud en esta epidemia que estamos ahorita. So, por favor, prendan su vela y vamos a recordar un momento en silencio a todos nuestros sobrevivientes y las víctimas de homicidio o toda clase de víctimas.
So now we'd like to just hold this.
Survivors, we see you, we are with you, and we are healing with you. Please join me in welcoming artist and musician Diana Gordon. Diana is calling in from her home from Los Angeles and wants to share a piece she wrote about her brother, a survivor. This is an exclusive performance that we are witnessing live together for the first time, so please, I want you all to turn up your volumes, turn up your computers, sit back and help me introduce our newest member, Diana Gordon.
Good girl, moved upstate, got a house with a backyard well made, cashing checks now, don't it feel great? Found Jesus, and you got saved, and even though you grow up, this is always home. You can always call me, we still got the phone. Don't forget your family, don't forget your own. Wanna come home, cause you're missing on the cool night. Don't you wanna go home one of these days? Be missing on the cool night. When you're feeling all alone, my love's forever. My love is free, can always come right to me. You wanna go home, cause you're missing on the cool night. From a bad life, we was good kids. Grass stains on our jeans and our white skips. Had a day job, I worked the night shift. I saw like you niggas up for college. And even though you grown up, you still look the same. Thanks to all my tough love, and look how far you came. Don't forget your family, don't forget your name. You wanna go home, cause you're missing a good night. Don't you wanna go home one of these days? Be missing a good night. When you're feeling all alone, my love's forever. My love is free, can always come running to me. You wanna run home, cause you're missing a good night. Run home. And I'll be ready. You wanna go home, cause you're missing a good day. Don't you wanna go home one of these days? Be missing the
Thank you so much, Diana. You are a gift, and thank you for sharing your experience and your family with us. Survivors Speak is always such an amazing experience, but today, y'all, we made history. We want to thank all of our survivor leaders, our state leaders who joined us for this historic event. This moment of healing, solidarity, and celebration is just one example of how we are growing this movement across the country and how we will be responding to this pandemic.
We look forward to continuing to work with you in the coming days, weeks, and months to enact important solutions at the state and federal level. We will continue our advocacy to secure investments for our communities and safely reduce incarceration. There are two important ways for you to get involved. First, join a CSSJ chapter if you haven't already. Our chapters are led by survivors, and our chapters are for survivors. We create networks of healing, offer leadership and training and support to share your story. To become a member, go to cssj.org to find a chapter near you, or click on Join Our Movement and sign up to be part of CSSJ. Second, for those who want to get involved in advocating for survivors and investments in communities in your state, we invite you to join the Advocacy Care Team. Our Advocacy Care Team members are leading the efforts to win safety for our communities and to support survivors. Reminder to help us stop the spread. We know that this global pandemic has had a greater impact on our communities. We need Congress and decision makers to hear our voices and make sure we get the support and resources we need. Sign up at the website www.cssj.org. The website is on your screen. Join us to help lead these efforts. Thank you for everything that you do, survivors. Thank you for joining us. Turn it back over to you, Anna.
Thanks, AT. Just what a day, what a week. We really hope being together and just our collective strength helps fuel the rest of your day and beyond. We know this is not a lot, but this is what we can do right now in this time. So just thank you all for being together. We look forward to continuing this important work with you. Today would not have been possible without all of you, without all of our partners. Our partners have been such a huge piece of this event from day one. We have partners from 7 states with active chapters in Texas, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, and of course my state of Cali. These partners have been with us throughout the last year, organizing survivors in their chapters to do trainings, to come to the Capitol, and to make sure that we're getting the investments our communities need to be well and to be safe. So one more reminder that if you haven't filled out the survivor member survey to share how COVID has been impacting your health and your family, please make sure you do it. It's really important we understand how this is impacting you and your family. The website link will come up every once in a while during this last exciting part of our program, our DJ dance party with DJ Shay. Just take a picture of the link with your phone or write down on the website so you can make sure to do the survey later. And y'all know this would not be a Survivor Speak without ending with, who speaks?
Survivors speak.
Who speaks?
Survivors speak.
Who speaks?
Survivors speak.